Why would the world's largest international airline refuse to order the largest passenger jet ever certified by Airbus? It sounds like a contradiction, yet that is exactly the situation unfolding in Dubai, where Emirates has spent more than a decade circling the Airbus A350-1000 without ever signing a contract. The aircraft can carry well over 350 passengers and is built precisely for the kind of high-density, long-haul routes that define Emirates' entire business model. Despite that obvious fit, not a single A350-1000 wears the Emirates livery today. The reason has almost nothing to do with the airframe itself and almost everything to do with what powers it. At the center of this standoff sits a single component: the Rolls-Royce Trent XWB-97 engine, a piece of machinery that has somehow become one of the most contentious objects in modern commercial aviation. The man behind the microphone. Few executives in aviation speak as bluntly as Sir Tim Clark, the long-serving president of Emirates, and his recent remarks at the IATA annual general meeting reignited a debate that refuses to die. Clark told industry leaders that the situation surrounding the Trent XWB-97 has remained essentially unchanged for years, repeatedly blocking his airline from placing an order it has openly considered roughly every 6 to 12 months. That detail alone is striking, because it reveals a pattern rather than a single disagreement. Emirates keeps circling back to the A350-1000, only to walk away each time the conversation turns to engine durability in the Gulf's punishing heat and dust. For Clark, the aircraft has never been the obstacle. The power plant strapped beneath its wings has sand, heat, and a decade-old grudge. To understand why this dispute has lasted so long, it helps to look at where Emirates actually flies its fleet. Dubai International Airport sits in one of the harshest operating environments on the planet, where fine airborne sand and extreme heat place enormous stress on turbine components designed primarily for temperate climates. Engines that perform reliably over the Atlantic can behave very differently after thousands of cycles through Gulf conditions. Emirates has long argued that the Trent XWB-97 simply cannot withstand that environment, without consuming maintenance budgets far faster than projected. According to figures cited by the airline, these engines have been spending only about a quarter as much time on the wing as comparable engines elsewhere, meaning far more frequent and costly shop visits. That single statistic, more than any boardroom disagreement, explains why Emirates has refused to sign on the dotted line. A feud that spread across the industry. Emirates is no longer the only major carrier voicing frustration. United Airlines, which already holds a substantial A350 order without having taken a single delivery, has its own grievances with Rolls-Royce. United's chief executive Scott Kirby has accused the manufacturer of behaving with a degree of complacency, suggesting that its position within the A350 engine market has allowed performance and contract issues to go unresolved for too long. This is a notable shift, because it shows the criticism is no longer confined to one outspoken Gulf airline. When two carriers as influential as Emirates and United independently question the same engine program, it signals a deeper structural issue rather than an isolated complaint. Meanwhile, rival carriers Etihad Airways and Qatar Airways already operate the A350-1000 successfully, a fact that only sharpens the contrast and fuels further debate. Accusations of hypocrisy. Clark's criticism took an even sharper turn when he connected Rolls-Royce's technical shortcomings to a separate controversy: a multi-million-dollar compensation package recently approved for the company's chief executive. In Clark's view, rewarding leadership so generously while shop capacity remains strained and reliability gaps persist sends a contradictory message to the very airlines paying for service contracts. His underlying argument is that engine manufacturers continue to charge premium prices for parts and maintenance agreements, while customers feel they are not receiving proportional reliability in return. Whether or not one agrees with that framing, it captures a tension increasingly common across the aviation supply chain, where airlines feel squeezed financially even as they wait years for the technical fixes they were promised. Rolls-Royce pushes back. Rolls-Royce has not stayed silent in the face of these public criticisms. While the company declined to comment directly on executive compensation, it firmly rejected any suggestion that the Trent XWB-97 is fundamentally defective, with a spokesperson describing that particular characterization as simply absurd. The manufacturer insists that meaningful technical progress is already underway. According to Rolls-Royce, ongoing upgrades focus on more sand-resistant coatings for core engine components and redesigned internals that allow the engine to run at cooler operating temperatures. The company claims these changes could roughly double durability in hot and dusty environments, translating to an estimated 50% improvement in performance under harsh conditions. If accurate, that would directly target the exact stress factors Emirates has spent years complaining about. Emirates draws a line, even acknowledging this engineering effort. Emirates has made its position unmistakably clear. The airline will not serve as an industry test case for incremental upgrades whose real-world impact remains unproven. In other words, promised improvements on paper are not enough. Emirates wants verified results before committing billions of dollars to new aircraft. This is more than stubbornness, because Emirates genuinely needs more high-capacity, long-range jets as its fleet continues to age and its wide-body backlog grows. The airline has openly praised the A350-1000 as an excellent aircraft in its own right, which makes the engine dispute even more frustrating from its perspective. The frame is wrong only at the wing, yet that single piece of hardware has been enough to delay an order for more than 10 years. Where this story goes next, so will these new durability upgrades finally be enough to convince Emirates to place an order. History suggests caution, since Tim Clark has reversed course before, famously voicing frustration over Boeing's 777X program, only to later commit to 65 units of that very aircraft. Aviation rivalries are rarely permanent, and today's tension can become tomorrow's headline announcement. For now, the burden of proof sits squarely with Rolls-Royce, and the coming months of testing and retrofitting will reveal whether their engineering claims hold up in the real Gulf environment. We would love to know what you think. Do you believe Rolls-Royce can finally resolve this decade-long durability dispute, or will Emirates keep waiting on the sidelines? Share your thoughts and predictions in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the business side of aviation, make sure to subscribe to the World Documentaries, hit that like button, and join us for more fascinating stories from the skies very soon.